Hey, what's up, guys? We're back with another episode of the Yankees Farm Report this week. I am Los. With me, I have my man Nick Simmons, the IFA guru. Nick, little
Going on,
different,
man?
something a little different about you today.
Man. I had to take it all off, man. I had to take the beard all off for a little bit.
Before we get into it, I know, did you see the Max Goodman's report on what Boone said today regarding Dominguez?
I'm not.
He said that Jason will be he is one of he'll be one of the guys. His name is going to be one of the options that they're going to call up. Not saying that he is. I just feel like they're playing games right now, man. I just feel like it's just fucking games. I hate this mysterious shit that they constantly do. I just hate it. It's very annoying.
Nah, listen, man. At the end of the day, he's gonna eventually get called up, whether it be this
Yeah.
year or next year. I mean, the only kicker with Dominguez, man, is just defense, right? Because defense not 100%. Like he's not gonna be an elite defensive player, and they're gonna thrust him into either. I'm assuming they're gonna keep Judge in center. They're gonna thrust him into left field, which is the hardest position to play at Yankee Stadium in the outfield, hands down. You got to have a lot of range out there to be able to play.
Hmm.
And I feel like that could be a reason why they're still hesitant, especially because Verdugo is just serviceable. Um,
Hmm.
but I like I said, I could also see the part with the draft picks, man, trying to keep the draft picks around and see what's going on. But I mean, he'll be up. I'm not concerned about it, man.
Yeah, I
The
think.
games is just
Mhm.
too much.
Yeah, I think he'll be up. It's just I just hate the games that they're playing. Like you're not tricking anybody. This is not the NFL. You're not where you have to pregame it for a certain quarterback or a certain running back. This is baseball where you're gonna fail. If you're very successful at it, you're gonna fail 70% of the time. I mean, like, come on, let's not to play these games, man. He's the guy that you got to call up. Period. It's just to me, it's just annoying. It's more of the same BS that we've seen from them for a while. All right. So today we just wanted to cover a couple of topics. There's going to be some changes. I wanted to spotlight a couple of prospects. I wanted to look at some of the 2023 draft pictures, and we'll take it from there. But before we start, I just wanted to address something real quick. Dane Huber will no longer be on the Yankees Farm Report here or the Farm Report on NYU. Some things came to light. They were brought to my attention and to Pete's attention that we both just things we don't condone, and just therefore we won't be working with him on any shows or projects going forward. It's an unfortunate situation, but I've made this decision to move on. And that said, I also feel I need to clear something up. Something that's bothered me for a while, and I just ignored it, right? Because I got other stuff to do. Yankees Farm is basically my baby. Period. This is my work. I work hard to build something here for you guys. I work hard every single day of the season. It's a labor of love. Some of you that have been following me for a while now, I pump out multiple videos at night. Like I said, I pump out tons of content, and it's information for this community. No one has access to any of my social media accounts on any of the major platforms. That's Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, which is just parked. I'm not really using that, but I just wanted folks to be sure of that because I've had a few questions over the last couple of days. Well, who's running this account or who is this? So I just wanted to let that be known. Um, and as I said before, I'm just moving on. But I do want to thank all you guys, everyone who's reached out, just showing me love, all the support is truly appreciated. I can't thank you guys enough for that. All right. So moving on, a couple of guys we wanted to spotlight. The first guy I wanted to talk about was Roderick Arias. He's been playing really well since he's pretty much been the sole shortstop on this team. Going into I think it was Wednesday night's game, he was hitting 300, 400 on base percentage. The OPS was at 960. That was seven extra base hits, three home runs, 11 RBIs. I think one of those was a grand slam, if I'm not mistaken. The walk rate was just a tick under 12%. The K rate is at 25%. It's still high, but it's a lot lower than what it's been throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I see the development, man. It's every day. I mean, you can see him every day. He's just getting better and better and better. And like I've said it numerous times on this episode, like you know, I'm happy he's struggled because you don't ever want somebody to just go through and run through the minor leagues and never know what struggling is, man. And this is
Mhm.
his shot to struggle here and learn and grow from it. Our mistakes, make us better as people. And he's a kid that I'm super excited about, man. He's one of the in my opinion, one of the top shortstop prospects in all of baseball. And yes, we've had a down year this year, but I think arguably, man, he's probably a top 15, 20 player in the minor leagues right now overall, if you look at the like raw talent behind him. But yeah, he's getting better and every day, man. He's developing, and I think, like we said, man, I think we put out what 190 innings of
More than
not
that.
having an error at shortstop. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's getting better, man. And if you watch the younger leagues, I think me and you had a conversation the other day, man. A lot of these guys just throw the ball around until they're about in high A ball,
hmm
and it's it's exciting to see, man. I think next year we're gonna really see him take off and kind of have that Dominguez jump.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't look at is, I had this because I had some joker who commented on something that I posted on Twitter the other day. I just completely ignored it because I don't got time for that bullshit to go back and forth with people who don't understand how minor league baseball works or when you look at prospects, right? They just looked at somebody, like for example, they look at Roderick's stats and they'll be like, well, he's only hitting like 215 or something like that, 220. I'm like, yeah, but you have to look at is you have to look at the progress. Is he moving forward, right? Because in the first half of the season, Roderick hit 209. Now he's hitting about 255, I think it is. The on base percentage was at 300. Now it's over 360. And the OPS is up by over 100 points as well. So there's a steady progression going on there, and which is what I've harped on over and over and over again, right? That the progression of these prospects is never going to be linear. There's going to be bumps in the roads, and we've seen that with Roderick. But what you want to see is that he's moving forward, and you see the big difference between the first half and the second half with him, and he's trending in the right direction for me. The next guy I wanted to bring up was Eric Raisman. He's had a 141 ERA, 32 innings of work, 15 walks, 52 strikeouts. That's about 15 Ks per nine. Strikeout rate is just over 40%. Hitters are hitting 144 against him. Absolutely excited about this guy every time he comes out on the mound. I don't know how much you guys or you, Nick, have gotten to see him, but to me, this year, he's probably been one of the most exciting pitchers in the system.
Oh, 100%, if not the most exciting. I mean, he's been arguably the number one relief pitcher that we've had all year. And
Mm,
looks like a legitimate closer, right? Not a setup guy, like an actual dude that can close game in
yeah.
and game out, and he has swing and miss stuff. And that's what the Yankees have been harping on. Like, we're missing that, we're missing that, we're missing that. And this is a kid, they drafted what in the fifth round a couple of years ago, and he as he had his injury concerns and made
hmm
it back, and he's looked really great, man, this year. And I think, to be honest with you, I think they're holding him back at Double A. I think he should be at Triple A right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a fantastic season. I think I don't know how long he's been at Double A for now, but like I said, to me, he's one of the most exciting pitchers in the system. I'm excited every time he goes out there. I think the only thing that's holding him back is probably his injury history, right? They don't want to push him too much, especially since they didn't think he was going to debut this year. I didn't either. I was surprised to even see him this year, if I'm being honest. But he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on going into next season. I probably am going to say he should make his debut next year, especially the way that he's been going. But it's just a matter of seeing, how fast the Yankees push him and also his health. The next guy I wanted to talk about was Jason Dominguez. That's my baby. Over the last 12 games, hitting over 400, 455, 1055 OPS, five extra base hits, two home runs, six RBIs, nine stolen bases. The walk rate is at 9%. Strikeout rate is about 14 and a half. I don't know what the hell the Yankees are waiting for when it comes to Dominguez. I don't think he's anything to prove at AAA. Whatever development he needs or he has left to fulfill should be done at the major league level if you're asking me.
No, I don't disagree, man. I think the only reason that I could see the Yankees wanting to hold off, man, is not letting Verdugo get a chance to get claimed by a team that might be competitive against them in the postseason, and that actually ends what in 2 days. So if he's cut by the
Mhm.
first, or isn't on the team going forward past the first, that could be a situation. They might want to cut Trent Grisham. Who knows? I mean, we'll see what ends up coming out of it. But I mean, you can add the extra player. I think Dominguez, man, 100% will be on this playoff roster, though. I'd be
I'm
very
definitely hoping
shocked if he
that.
wasn't.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that. Hopefully they stop playing these games and just call him up already. Like I said, he has nothing to prove at this level. Just nothing. He's ready to go. The next guy I want to talk about was Spencer Jones. Heading into yesterday's game before the doubleheader, he was hitting 329, 409 on base percentage, that's a 943 OPS, 11 extra base hits, three home runs, 19 RBIs. The walk rate is a little over 11%. The strikeout rate is at 35%. But if you're asking me, I just think that's something we're just gonna have to live with. The fact that the strikeout rate is just not going to go down as much as people are hoping. Because I mean, I think you said you're hoping it gets down to 25%. I've seen 27%. I don't know if it's going to get any lower.
I don't think it's going to ever get down to 25%, to be completely honest with you. What I said was I hope he gets down to 30. If he can
Mm,
get it down to 30%, that's more realistic. I don't think he's going to be 25%. Otherwise, we are looking
no.
at another Judge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Minus maybe a little bit of power, but I mean, like, you have a kid there that I think if he can get down to 27%, you have a perennial all-star player.
Mm,
Hands down, there's no questions asked because he can do it all. But that's his biggest thing, and I think going forward, we got to really try to figure out what's the pitch that's really causing him trouble, and that's what we were talking about before. Like
right.
for me, there's always going to be a pitch that a player can work on, and it's obvious that they've obviously found something out with him at Double A that's a strikeout pitch. But I mean that for as high as he is striking out, he is still having a heck of a year, even with a high
Hmm.
strikeout rate.
Yeah, he's making a lot more contact, especially over what he was doing in the first half of the season. He's making a lot more contact, a lot more base hits. And the strikeout rate still didn't fluctuate too much. It still hovered between like 34 and 37%. I think for the season it's around 36%, if I'm not mistaken, but it's been between 34 and 37%. I mean, it's just what it is. It just before this hot streak that he's been on, a lot of those hitches weren't dropping for him. He wasn't finding the gaps, I guess. And they are now. So in regards to Spencer Jones, I mean, I don't know how much lower that strikeout rate is going to get. Like you were saying, 30%. If he can get it to 30%, like you said, he might be a guy that could make a couple All-Star games at the major league level. If he keeps hitting the way he's been hitting. The last guy that I wanted to talk about was a surprise guy, which is Alexander Vargas. I know a lot of people have written him off. He's become an afterthought. I mean, I thought when they sent him to Somerset, I didn't know what to expect because he wasn't really having a great season at Hudson Valley. But over the last 21 games, he's hitting over 274, 346 on base percentage. The OPS is almost at 800. That's seven extra base hits, two home runs, six RBIs. The walk rate is a little over 7%, strikeout rate about 25%. It's been night and day for him. This is the guy that you saw flashes of at Hudson Valley. And he's doing it for over a month here at Somerset right now. Um, have you seen anything with Vargas that you know you can point to as far as the success?
Yeah. So the same thing I'm gonna say about a lot of these guys when they come over. One, they're hidden away most of the time when they're big money signings. Anybody that's over like a $2 million signing, they're most likely not running around playing in tournaments and scouting events and all this different stuff time and time and time and time again. And he was a kid that was supposed to go to the Reds. We ended up clipping him early, got him for like around 2.5 million, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the exact number was. Um, and I was told, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. He's a skinnier kid. He burst out to the scene in his second year, had a really good year, and then just never found it ever again. And I think he was like in top 6, 7 on ranking boards after that year. But this is a kid, man. If there's somebody that deserves minor league comeback player of the year for the Yankee system, it's him.
Mm, yeah.
Because he was a guy that realistically, like you were saying, really could just went up to Double A, been the backup behind Cowles, and then got cut as soon as all the players came out, and then they traded Cowles, and then this guy took off, and he's looked really, really, really good. We always knew the defense was there. He can always
Hmm.
play defense. He's an elite shortstop defender, but now he's hitting well, and that's
Hmm.
the big difference that we haven't seen before. So he's hitting well. I think that there may be, there's still question marks, right? Because he's only OPS in 705 at
Right.
Double A, but I want to see where it continues to go. I think that he's a kid I would like to talk to because I would like to see, what was the development curve of you feeling like? Because I'm sure the kid feels like the world was closing in on him to
Had
come
to.
back, and then now, start putting up good numbers. I think the only thing there left, he's got to work on a strikeout rate too. He's
Hmm.
striking out way too much for me.
Yeah, for a guy that's at the bottom of the lineup, and he's a guy that's expected to be a table setter. Another thing is I would like to see him steal more bases, but again, he's just getting back into the groove of putting the ball in play, and the average is spiking up. I think it's small steps for him, but yeah, definitely, I definitely in agreement with what you said. He's got to be the minor league player of the year for the system, because he was pretty much written off by just about everyone, after the last season that he had.
Carlos meant comeback player, not player of the year, comeback
I'm sorry,
player.
comeback player. Yeah,
Comeback, comeback, comeback.
comeback player. You're right. You're right. My fault. My fault. Um, Moving on to the next topic we wanted to discuss, looking at some of the pitchers from the 23 draft class. The first guy I wanted to talk about was Kyle Carr. He was a third round pick last year. He's currently pitching to a 4.69 ERA. It's 96 innings, 89 strikeouts, 21% strikeout rate, average about 240. But if you look at his last seven starts, he's found something, right? Because over his last seven starts, he's pitching to a 132 ERA. That's 34 innings, 34 strikeouts. The strikeout rate is up a little bit more to almost 28%. Average, the hitters are hitting 100 points lower than they were. And this is a guy that you had told me you had to just be patient, just be patient. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, in the first half, he pitched to a 6.54 ERA or 6.53 ERA. He was absolutely getting shelled. And he's just found something. He's just found something. He's pitching a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was a kid, came in, struggled, had his ups and downs. He wasn't predominantly dominant in college either. Throwing out there, he kind of figured his way back. And to be honest with you, man, like you said, that second half has just been unreal. I mean, and we've been talking about it nonstop. Like this kid, starting to look like a third round pick, maybe even a
Hmm.
second round kind of pick potential, and is a left-hander. And Yankees don't have many of those in the system that are, big time there. But he's a kid that, like I said, if you just gave him a little bit of time, I feel like he was going to figure it out. And I think next year, going into next year, he's a kid to be excited about and kind of see what happens if they're going to push him up to double A or kind of leave him at high A and see if he'll make his way up to double A. But I'd like to see the push and see what he's going to do next year, especially for, a guy who's throwing, 94 to 96 as a left-hander. You don't find that often.
Yeah, no. One of the things that I had read early on about him, about one of the reasons why he was getting hit a little bit hard was because of the fact that the velo was down a little bit. I mean, I don't know what the velo was like in college for him. I know I've seen it now. He's up to like, I think I saw him in his last start around 94. Um, but one thing that I wanted to point out about Carr is basically what I've been talking about, which is right that the development of these prospects is not linear, right? There's going to be bumps in the road. You're going to see a lot of that. Sometimes some prospects can't even overcome that, right? And when you see someone doing what Kyle Carr has done, it bodes well for them, and that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see success. Some struggle because there's going to be an adjustment to the adjustment that's being made to you, and then how do you overcome that? And then that's what you're seeing in Kyle Carr.
That's what makes
Um,
that's what makes a prospect elite. Exactly what you said.
Right, right, and that's I've said that before. I'm like, if a prospect is as elite as as we all believe him to be, and he's been tagged, then he's supposed to overcome those hardships. The next guy I want to talk about was sixth round pick Kate Smith. He's pitching to a 3.65 ERA, 93 innings, 110 strikeouts. Over his last six starts, he's pitching to a 2.61 ERA, 31 innings, 37 strikeouts, 31% K rate. Hitters are hitting 126 against him. For me, Kate Smith has been one of the most exciting pitchers in the system and in the last season's draft as well. Unfortunately, if you hadn't heard, he had just been shut down for the season. I believe he was put on the 60-day IL.
Yeah, you hit it right in the head, man. Just shut down the other day. Um, super exciting. The Yankees just seem to get like one or two of those guys between round 5 and 10 to just really hit. And you look at him and you're like, wow, man, this kid, I mean, on MLB.com is now ranked the number 12th, prospect on MLB.com, which is for a sixth round, that's pretty impressive in a
Hmm.
system that, has a lot of potential. He's a kid that, going to the same thing going into next year, man. Now we're gonna see is the push. Obviously, I expect him to go back to high A.
Hmm.
I don't
Probably
think they'll
start
move him
there.
all the way to double A yet.
Hmm.
But you know what though? That's a kid that can move kind of quick, man. From there, go to high A, double A, and then maybe next year we're talking, the following year we're talking about a kid that can make it to the majors.
Hmm. Um, and moving on to the next guy, one of the guys that I was probably the most excited about going into the season from that draft class was the 10th round pick, Brian Hendry. Over four starts, he's 1-0, hasn't allowed a run. I think he might have allowed one run in his last start, which was I want to say yesterday. But that was 12 innings with no runs allowed. 17 strikeouts, seven walks, 34% strikeout rate, 116 average against. To me, Henry was one of the guys that was the most exciting in the class. Baseball America did note that early on in March, talking about he was one of the guys to watch. I don't know how much you've seen of Hendry.
I mean, obviously not much, right? Because he was been out. But like
Yeah.
to be fair. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I told you like probably about a month ago. I said, listen, man, this kid was healthy. We're
Yeah.
talking probably
Yep.
the best pitcher in the system, right?
Hmm.
Like he was on the cusp of looking like a legitimate star.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I still think he has. I'm happy he came back this year. He's a guy I would like to see go to Arizona Fall League because he's a little bit older and
Hmm.
get some more innings in there. And hopefully, realistically next year he's at AA and AAA and then maybe at the majors because I think he has that potential to be a legitimate dominant maybe two starter at the major league level.
Yeah. And the last guy I wanted to mention was the 11th round pick, which would give the Yankees three fines within those middle rounds, right? And that's Josh Groves. He started the season a little same thing about with as with Kyle Carr. He started off the season a little bit rough. The ERA in the first half of the season was 6.05, right? But over his last eight starts, he's pitching to a 0.59 ERA. That's 46 innings, 39 strikeouts, 132 average against. He has been absolutely phenomenal over those last eight starts, which include, I believe, three starts at Hudson Valley. Sorry,
Absolutely
seven
dom
starts. Seven starts at Hudson Valley.
Yeah, absolutely dominating, man. And he's a kid. I think if you were telling me too. You guys interviewed him, and he said that his
Hmm.
goal was to make it to high A, man,
Yeah,
and he did it.
he
He
did
did
it.
it, and
Yeah.
he's been killing it.
Hmm.
And the Yankees, like I said, they find those finds in the middle rounds too, man, with pitching, like and some hitters. I mean, they just really, they've done a really good job of late, really drafting in those rounds, and finding guys that have that potential. Josh Groves, man, I think you could see him arguably, man, in a major league rotation pretty soon. I wouldn't even be shocked because he just has all the talent in the world, and he just has that mindset. Like for somebody
Hmm.
to put a goal and accomplish it in the first year as an
Hmm.
11th rounder, that's super impressive, man,
Yeah.
especially with the guys that were drafted above him.
Yeah. I mean, when he said that to me, I was like, well, yeah, I think you might be starting off the season in FCL. So for a pitcher to go from FCL all the way to Hudson Valley, I mean, he did start at Tampa, but it's a lofty goal. It's a lofty goal. And like I said, dude, the way he was pitching in the first half of the season, it was I think what did I say, 6.05 ERA. It didn't. I wasn't sure if he's gonna. I didn't think he was gonna make it at Hudson Valley. My thing was, was just try to get through the season healthy and just keep learning, keep pushing it. And he did that. He got all the way to Hudson Valley. He found something locked in, and he has been absolutely phenomenal.
I agree with you 100%.
Um, the last thing I did want to talk about, before, unless there was anything else you want to talk about, was in regards to Austin Wells. I hate this platoon that they got him in now. Talking about he's gonna get the what was it saying? He's gonna get the bulk of the starts. I mean, in August he's hitting 309, six extra base hits, two home runs, 11 RBIs, and I think when I was looking before Trevino, since he's got back, he's had one hit over the last 6 or 7 games, something like that. I don't get it, man, because you playing Austin Wells against a left-handed pitcher is an investment in your future. I don't know what the thinking is because if you're in the playoffs, game one starter is probably going to be Garrett Cole, so you're not going to play your best catcher or your best lineup because uh you want the righty-lefty matchup with Trevino. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Austin Wells has been an unreal defensive catcher too. Like I don't understand how a pitcher can have qualms throwing to him at all, man. He's been unreal this year,
Hmm.
defensively. Um, Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. What they're doing with him this year and the platoon situation, especially with the way he's hitting. And they could have earned a draft pick
Hmm.
had they let him just go out and just do his thing, man. They could be
Hmm.
earning a late first rounder.
Yeah, I don't get it because to me this is supposed to be the final development step for a young player like Austin Wells. And I don't know where he's at now, but I know the odds had him in the top three at one point. But to me it's just it doesn't make any sense why Austin Wells is not getting the bulk of the playing time. And when I say the bulk, I'm talking about playing 5, 6 times a week, not whatever it is that he's doing now, which is like three, I think. I know the Yankees went through a string where they saw five starting left-handed pitchers think he got one start in that time in that sequence, but it's just annoying to me. It's just annoying. Like I said, playing Austin Wells against a left-handed pitcher is an investment in the future and what happens next. Because for me, I want the best lineup all the time, not sometimes, all the time. There should be no excuses to me. Um, in close, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to touch on.
I just want to touch on Juan Diaz because I got a, couple of messages about that. Um, he's still in the U15 team.
Hmm.
I think the only like mainstay on the U15 team with outside of him is Senna, Alfredo Senna,
Mm.
who we talked about before.
Yeah.
Wandy has struggled. Yes, yes, I'm gonna be the one to address it. Yes, he has had his struggling moments there. But he's looked great at the plate in terms of understanding the strike zone. I think he has more walks than strikeouts right now. Uh, I think people got to realize that at that age, and me as well, because I feel like me and Carlos talked about this the other day. Like these kids are, still 14, 15 years old, throw the ball around a lot, and nothing's gonna look, perfect at that age, especially not that. If you find a player that's perfect at that age, man, you better, grab him right away. But like, there's gonna have their ups and downs. Same thing like Carlos was saying in development, anyways. But he's a kid to still be extremely excited about. Going to be one of the top Yankee prospects coming in the next 5, 6 years. I'm extremely excited still about him. You can see the potential and the growth that he's still having. Um, but yeah, he's had some ups and downs in the U15.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the first game in that series, and I hit you up about it. I was like, Jesus Christ, he got like 3 errors in the first 3 innings. But it wasn't anything with the glove related. It was basically him throwing the ball around. Um, like you said, he's what, 14 years old, I think it is. I
He
don't
just
think I
turned 15.
Yeah,
Just
you
turned
you
15.
can't really hold that against him because even if you go back into the previous U15 series, he was a killer in that series, and he was hitting
Yep.
behind center in that series. And there's a video in the member section where I think he had a home run, two doubles in like a 2 or 3 game sequence. He was absolutely phenomenal in that series. And if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna move on to the closing.
That's fine.
So, in closing, I just wanted to mention that last month, 60% of people who watch this content had not yet subscribed. Just do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you want to know about Yankee prospects, if you want to know about IFAs, Nick is always here. If you want to know about how your favorite prospects are doing, if you just collect baseball cards like my brothers do, you're going to find all your Yankee prospect information here. So again, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and as always, thank you guys for always supporting us, and thank you for always being here with us.
Thank you guys.
All right, Nick.